There's nothing cooler than a secret hidden in plain sight, especially when it comes to the objects we use and interact with every day. Some of these secrets seem obvious once pointed out, while others make you say, "Wow, I would have never spotted that." Either way, learning about these hidden features and uses can seriously upgrade your life. So let's get right into some amazing secrets hidden in everyday things. Bouncing batteries. Ever been in the frustrating position of having a drawer full of batteries with no idea which ones are used and unused? Most people have, and it can take a long, tedious time to test each battery individually by popping them into appliances. Luckily, there's a handy trick to test your battery's power levels instantly, and it's so simple you'll wonder how you ever managed without it. All you need to do is drop the battery from a relatively low height in an upright position. If the battery is unused or mostly full, it shouldn't bounce much. If it's depleted or empty, the battery will be noticeably bouncier. So why is this? Well, when a regular battery is used, energy is given off by a chemical reaction between the materials inside the battery. The process converts these materials into new compounds, one of which is zinc oxide, which happens to be naturally very bouncy. It's so bouncy, in fact, that it's used in golf balls to increase the distance they travel when hit. Up to an upper limit, the more a battery is used, the more zinc oxide forms inside, and the bouncier the battery becomes. So, when you're checking your batteries, whichever battery bounces the least is the one you probably want to use. Of course, it goes without saying that you should never try this on batteries that are broken, misshapen, or leaking, nor should you be throwing car batteries around the place. But for general small batteries, this is a real game changer. But you know what'd be the biggest game changer of all? Hitting those like and subscribe buttons. I post fascinating content like this every day that's guaranteed to charge up your brain by teaching you something new. So, if intriguing facts and mind-blowing stories are your kind of thing, go ahead and subscribe. You won't regret it. Now, back to more amazing secrets hidden in everyday things. Pocket from the past. Anyone who owns a pair of jeans with a pocket like this has at some point wondered what it's really there for. After all, how useful can a pocket so small really be? While today it's occasionally used to hold loose change, keys, or even some candy, the original purpose of this mysterious pocket was much more specific. The pocket's origins can be traced back to before even the earliest jeans in the Levi's archives, which date around 1879. It's no coincidence that this pocket emerged around this period, as its purpose is related to another very common item from the time that's rarely seen nowadays: the pocket watch. The tiny pocket was specifically designed to snugly fit a standard pocket watch, keeping it secure, while the higher position on the leg allowed for easy access. With a chain attached to the belt loop for extra security, it was common to see this jean and pocket watch combo among the more fashionable cowboys back in the day. And to be honest, it still looks pretty good. So if you feel inclined to try bringing this old look back, you have my full support. Easy erasing. If you've ever used one of these kinds of erasers back in school, you might have heard that while the red part was for erasing pencil, the blue part could erase pen ink. If you were like me, you may have put this theory to the test and tried rubbing out your pen marks with the blue side, only to be left with a smudged, crumpled page. But it turns out the reason this method never tended to work as planned is that the blue eraser isn't primarily designed for erasing ink at all. In fact, it's not even really supposed to be used on standard paper. The blue eraser is designed for removing thicker or darker pencil marks from higher grade paper, with most coming with a gritty texture to help with this. However, over time, the myth of using the blue eraser to rub off pen marks, which can occasionally work if your paper is strong enough, became more widely known than its actual purpose. Companies began embracing the slightly inaccurate reputation as a pen eraser into their design as a marketing technique, and some brands even added a pen icon to theirs. But while knowledge of the blue side's original purpose has been mostly erased, people in the know, like you and me, can still erase our dark pencil marks with unparalleled expertise. Open tabs. If you ask most people what the purpose of the tabs on soda cans is, they'd probably tell you the obvious: opening cans. But there's a surprising amount of hidden ingenuity hidden in soda can tabs, including an additional use that most people miss. Let's start with that hidden function I mentioned. If you're committed to drinking smarter, you can turn the tab around and put a straw into the hole. It's a handy way to stop that pesky straw wriggling away from you between slurps. Though it actually appears to be more of a happy accident than an intentional design choice. The intended purpose for those holes on soda can tabs is actually to give them more structural stability and ease of use. If the tabs had no holes at all and were just an aluminum strip, they'd likely just bend instead of providing the pivot force necessary to open the can. By leaving gaps with the curved edges of the tab rolled inward, flexibility is exchanged for increased thickness, reinforcing the pivot points while also preventing any wasted aluminum. The rolled edges also reduce the risk of anyone cutting themselves on any sharp edges. So, the next time you sip from a can, with a straw or not, take a moment to appreciate the often ignored cleverness of its design. Refreshing. Tic-tac tactics. As surprising as it sounds, the classic candy treats we call Tic Tacs also come with a nifty hidden feature. These tiny sweet and the fun little clicky boxes they came with were a staple for many childhoods around the world. But most of us missed the fact that the satisfying-to-use lid came with a built-in Tic Tac dispenser in the form of a raised area specifically for catching single candies. Using the Tic Tac catcher, all you need to do is flip the pack upside down, open the lid, and you're ready to serve a single Tic Tac to your friends. They'll be so blown away by the whole spectacle, they won't even notice how stingy you're being. While I personally tend to prefer eating a handful at a time, those with a little more restraint, or just tiny mouths, will undoubtedly find this little tip handy. Reason for the ridges. At some point in a moment of boredom, you may have found yourself fiddling with some loose change and wondering why some coins have these ridges along their edges. As it's so commonplace, you may have assumed it's an aesthetic choice that's just become the norm. But there's actually an intriguing reason behind the ridges. Before the ridges became widespread, a common problem faced by rulers of the past was that people would shave down the edges of their coins, harvesting the precious metals. This shaved metal could then be melted down and resold for profit. The shaved coin, meanwhile, remained usable, and most of the time could be spent without the recipient being any the wiser. Of course, this wasn't how rulers wanted people using their official coinage, but it took until the early 1500s for anyone to figure out a solution. Around the time, some European coins began being produced with ridged edges as standard. This meant that shaving and reusing the coins would be impossible, as, unless the coin scammer was willing to painstakingly re-engrave them, the ridges would disappear after shaving. But not all modern coins have ridges. You may have noticed that nickels, cents, and pennies have smooth edges instead. This is because, thanks to their lower-cost construction materials, their value isn't enough to make ridging, or equally shaving them, worthwhile. As if all those pennies clogging up your wallet didn't already feel worthless enough. Smart noise. Most people are able to appreciate the fact that the smartphones we carry around in our pockets are absolute wonders of technology. But few people fully grasp just how clever phones can be, even when just picking up the sound of your voice for a phone call. Taking a look at your smartphone, you may notice several holes scattered around the frame and back, though some newer phones do a great job at hiding them away. Whether you can see them or not, these holes are tiny microphones which pick up your voice during calls. But that's far from the most interesting part. On most modern smartphones, at least 2 separate microphones are used during calls to ensure maximum clarity through noise-canceling technology. How this works is that one microphone, usually near the charging port on your phone, will pick up the sound of your voice more prominently than the other mic. It makes sense, seeing as it's close to your mouth when you're holding your phone on a call. The purpose of the secondary mic, which is usually found on the back of the phone near the camera, is to pick up more of the background noise in your environment. Now, you may be thinking, why would I want the background noise to be picked up if I'm trying to increase the clarity of the signal? It's a valid question, but here's where the clever part comes in. Your phone is capable of taking both signals and analyzing which parts of the microphone input are your voice and which parts are unwanted background noise. It then processes the sounds, lowering the background noise in the final signal, resulting in a much clearer output sound than would be possible with a single mic. Pretty impressive, right? Our phones are really mind-blowing when you think about it, and I'd love to hear which aspects of your smartphone impresses you the most in the comments below.